Hi, this is Scott with Ford Tech. Today we are in 11 to 14 body style Ford Edge that came MyFord Touch Sync 2 equipped. We are going to be showing you today how to perform the Sync 2 to Sync 3 upgrade from Ford Tech in this vehicle. To perform the upgrade, you need a few basic tools. T20 Torx driver, 7mm nut driver, and some plastic dash removal tools. The dash removal tools and the 7mm nut driver are available on our website for your convenience. Let's get started. First, we need to remove these trim pieces on each side of the dash bezel, which are silver in color on this vehicle. To remove these pieces, we want to pull up on them first and use our dash removal tools to help. And then pull outward on the vertical portion. And we'll repeat the same procedure on the other side. Pulling up, and then outward. Next, we need to remove the 4 T20 Torx screws that are here at the 4 corners. We now need to remove 6 7mm screws up here. These 2 upper ones here, and then the 4 that are recessed on each side of the bezel here. We'll start with the top 2. These are a different thread than the other 4 and the ones that hold the screen in, so you want to set them aside separately. Now that we have the screws out, we'll need to briefly turn on the ignition and slide the shifter back to neutral so that we can pull this panel back and get it out of the way. The lower panel is flipped into the upper panel with these 2 clips right here, so you want to unsnap them and move it back, and then this panel, the upper bezel, will pop out. And lift out of the way. Once we lift it out of the way, you'll want to disconnect this single connector by pushing in on the tab on the bottom where my thumb is and pulling it out. We can now shift it back into park and shut it off. Next, we need to get the screen out of the opening so we can replace the module that is bolted to the back of it. We'll take out these 4 7mm screws. With the screws out, we'll pull the unit out and we need to disconnect it. This USB cable, you push the tab where my thumb is on the back edge of the connector and unplug it. The large 54 pin, you push a little lock that is in front of this gray lever in, and then start to swing the lever and push it all the way away to release the connector and pull it out. We've brought the MyFord Touch Sync 2 unit out of the car onto the bench, and we have sitting next to it the Sync 3 upgrade from Ford Tech, which is the new screen with the module attached, and the screen cable is there as well. What we need to do is move the brackets from the old system over to the new system. I faced them the same way so that we make sure the brackets stay on the proper sides. So we'll move the brackets over and then flip them around and move the other side. Before we install the new screen and module, we need to install the Sync 3 compatible GPS antenna. Even if you had navigation in the vehicle previously, the new antenna is required as it is a different signal for the module. The best place to install this is on the metal brace back here in the dash. It is kind of low in the dash, but there's only plastic above it and the GPS signal transmits fine through it. So we will reach into this opening, into the back, and put it on that metal brace using the magnet from the GPS antenna to hold it. And we'll run the cable out the front here. Now that the antenna is in, we just need to put in the screen and module combination for Sync 3 from 4D-Tech. We'll connect this by taking the 54-pin connector with the lever fully out still and pushing that into the back of the module until the lever starts to move, and use the lever to pull the connector the rest of the way in until it clicks and locks. Next, we'll take the antenna connector. It's got the clip right there. You want to face that downward and plug it into the connector at the top corner of the module. Last, we'll plug this USB connector into the black connector on the module. And then we'll set this in the opening. Now we need to replace the 4 screws we took out earlier. With those 4 screws in place, we now need to replace the front control bezel back onto the vehicle. We'll take the connector we unplugged earlier with the clip facing down, push it in till it clicks in. Turn the ignition on to get the shifter out of the way like we did earlier, pushing it back to neutral, and sliding the panel backwards. Panel clipped in, we'll replace the 4 7mm screws. Keep in mind that the 2 screws that we set aside earlier because they were a different thread need to go in these 2 upper openings. Pushing the clips in the bottom edge of the front bezel first, and then snapping it down, and we need to replace the 4 T20 Torx that we took out earlier. With the 4 Torx replaced, now all we need to do is replace these side panels on each side of the dash. We'll clip them in top portion first and then the bottom portion. Same on the other side. As part of the Sync 2 to Sync 3 upgrade, we need to replace the existing hub in the vehicle with the Sync 3 compatible one included in the kit. To take the old hub out, there's a couple notches at the bottom, and we can get underneath them with our dash tool to release the faceplate of the hub. From there, we can take a screwdriver or any sort of straight tool and grab in one of the holes and pull out on the hub to release it. Once we pull the hub out, we just need to disconnect the 2 connectors. There's a USB connector here where my thumb is pushing on the clip on the top of it to release it. And then there's also a clip in the back of this connector as well. You push that clip down and that connector disconnects. The new hub from 4D-Tech for the Sync 2 to Sync 3 goes into the mounting adapter that's included with the kit. And then the wiring adapter plugs into the back of the hub. and then plugs into the vehicle connector. Then we just plug the USB cable into the port on the new hub, push the wiring into the opening, and snap it back into place. Now that we have the Sync 3 upgrade installed, we're going to start the car and let the system boot up. It may take a few moments the first time. And now you see that we have Sync 3 installed in this vehicle. Because this upgrade includes the navigation option, you have the navigation maps as well. You see how simple it is to upgrade from Sync 2 to Sync 3 in the 11 to 14 Ford Edge using the upgrade kit from 4D Tech. Thank you for checking out our video. This is Scott with 4D Tech.